Welcome to Zero Experience Required. Today we're replacing an inner tie rod on a 2003 Acura MDX. Let's get started. So I made sure to keep the key in the ignition so the steering wheel lock won't happen. And then when you shake the tire, I think that's the sound of a bad tie rod. On this side, I can't seem to get that clicking noise. So I think the tie rod's bad on that side. So let's get this tire off. Once the locking nut has been broken free, the inner tie rod will spin freely and we can spin it off. Then we can remove the tie rod boot. It has two clamps on it, so then we need to remove those before trying to pull the boot off. Life a little easier. Penetrated oil. And some silicone lubricant to get the boot off. Here's the outer clamp for that boot. To get the inner clamp released, you stick a flat-bladed screwdriver in it and twist it. This can be reused if you use wire cutters to squeeze it back together afterwards, but you're not supposed to. If you don't feel comfortable reusing this, a quick tie or zip tie will work. Whoops. Breaking this locking nut requires quite a bit of force. Oh, there we go. This is where you start counting your turns. I lost the footage of taking the tie rod off. What you need to do is count your turns, so when you put it back on, you can turn it the same number of times and it will be somewhat aligned without ruining your tires on the way back to the shop. This boot is a challenge to get off. Ah, there we go. That's easy. Now I'm taking off the locking nut so I can get the boot, the clamp, and everything off. So, this is the inner tie rod and how it attaches the rack and pinion. You'll notice there's a washer right there. When you look at the parts that you get for replacing it, you get this. So obviously this indexes into the rack and pinion and then is bent over. So we need to unbend that to get the tie rod off. Once you break the tie rod loose, it should spin freely off. Make sure before you install the new part that it matches the old part. Getting the new tie rod on is a bit of a challenge because you want to make sure that washer gets into the place where it indexes, so make sure to do that. You don't want to have that not indexed and your tie rod later on come loose and fall off while you're driving. That washer is what's going to stop it from coming off, but you definitely want to make sure it's at least tight. I think that's as far as it'll go. I think you just hammer these things in. Sorry for the image of my head, but basically all you do is you just keep hitting it until the thing folds over a bit. Here's a good example of that. Then I checked to see if it was good enough and if the tie rod would spin off. Nope. The tie rod and the rack and pinion spins first. I use a pair of wire cutters to tighten that clamp, but I don't get a good shot of it. This clip's just hard to get on and off. I used a variety of gripping tools to try to use, but they seem to work the best. Boom. Then we put the locking nut on and we thread it all the way down. Because of the angle of everything, it's not easy to get the tie rod on since it wants to go skew each time it turns. But you just have to persist. You can move the tie rod by turning the steering wheel to get to a better spot. And then you turn the tie rod the number of times you counted. Then you lock the nut in place. And you're done, except for putting the tire on. Then tighten the lugs in a star. Make sure to get in alignment, because even with counting turns, it was out by 2 degrees. And my back tires were out just because of wear and tear. So it was good to get it in anyways. If you don't get in alignment and it's out this badly, the next thing you're going to be doing is buying new tires. Thank you for watching this video on replacing the tie rod in a 2003 Acura MDX. Like and subscribe and let me know in the comments what you thought. Thank you, and bye.